What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 51, and we're starting today's episode off here with a scout report from our Norwegian scout, currently based in Canada. Right now, of course, we are looking for a goalkeeper. He's picked us up a couple that could be okay, but the vast majority are really average. I have said before, youth scouting just hasn't really given me the same feel since FIFA 13. Hopefully next year they do a massive revamp on it, and it'll be really fun again, but we'll have to wait and see. Still, we take on Sunderland for the first game of today's episode here, back in the Premier League after that fantastic win away at the San Siro in the game against Inter by a 1-0. That puts us through to the Europa League final.
A low-scoring side, the lowest scoring team in the division actually, and they've got to try and get the better of the best defence. It's going to be very hard for them to do that, but we wait and see with a fair amount of anticipation.
They just haven't been creating chances, the home team here, and when they have, they've been fluffing them, so I just wonder whether they're going to be able to do something better here.
And we take on Sunderland for the first game of today's episode here as we travel to the Stadium Light to take on Sam Allardyce's side, back in the Premier League of course, and coming into this game with just 4 Premier League games to go. You can see the team I picked out here, loads and loads of changes after that win against Inter away at the San Siro on Thursday night. This season is going to have a crazy finish. There are still 5 teams that could possibly win the title with just 4 games to go, and also for us, currently in second place right now, there's still a chance that we could actually miss out of the top 4 as well. So it's going to be a really crazy end to the finish. We could end up winning the title, or we could miss out on Champions League football. It could be a real high for us or a real low. Still taking on Sunderland. First chance at half fell to us. Damari Gray's shot was well saved by the former City goalkeeper Costel Pantilimon. It was still 0-0. And in the second half, not much really happened until 20 minutes after the restart. Mama Biram Juice header goes wide at the post and behind for a goal kick. In the 79th minute, Sunderland had another good chance there. That shot going wide at the post, and it was still 0-0. And the final chance fell in stoppage time. Adam Johnson gets on the ball, feeds it inside to Mama Biram Juice, who goes for goal, but Jack Butler makes a pretty simple save, and Brendan Galloway gets the ball away. And it was how the game would finish as well. Final score, Sunderland 0, Watford 0. So not exactly the best of results, but it is now 4 clean sheets in a row in all competitions, and a point, I guess, isn't too bad a result. After the game on Thursday night, had to make a lot of changes coming into this one. I guess a point isn't too bad a result, and I guess we'll take it, and it's better than the loss as well. So, just 4 games to go in the season. I know a draw away at Sunderland is not exactly what you'll consider a good result or anything, but for us right now, going for the title, it's still within our grasp, it's still possible, and just not losing that game was really crucial for us after City beat Newcastle away at St James's Park. So a goalless draw could have been better, yes, but could have been a lot worse. Still, following that, we have a youth score monthly report as we've now into the final month of the competitive fixtures for the club. That is, of course, May. You can see how the players are currently getting on in our academy. Obviously, quite a lot of players there are just bog standard and really average, and we know for sure that the majority of those players will probably either get released or get signed and then sold on next season. I have already said that my plan for loads of those academy players is quite simple, sign them into the club and then sell them on in the summer transfer window, but I'm still not sure just how many, if any, will have any potential to succeed in the Watford team. Again, I will say this, there are some that may do well for Canada in the future, but even for Canada right now, the majority of those have overalls that are below 60, so they won't even get into the first team for Canada, so it's pretty frustrating, it's just the academy this year. I really was hoping that with the training feature as well, it would be a lot easier to get really good players coming through, and loads of them as well, not just 1 or 2, even without the training feature as well. But it just hasn't really happened for me this year, and maybe next year it will be a little bit different, but we'll have to wait and see. Still following out, look at the league table as well. 3 games to go in the Premier League. We are 4 points behind the leaders Spurs, but we're also only 4 points clear of City and United, who are in 4th and 5th respectively, and even Liverpool with 55 points in 6th place aren't mathematically out of a place in the top 4 race. As you can see with the FA Cup as well, we have got the final to come. That's going to be in 2 episodes time. We'll be taking on Arsenal at Wembley, and also in the next episode we'll have the Europa League final against Milan as well. So there are 3 massive episodes to come, as well as this one too, to end the season off with. We will have the Europa League final. That's the next episode tomorrow afternoon. Then on Wednesday afternoon we've got the FA Cup final against Arsenal, and on Thursday afternoon we'll have the Premier League final day as well. So it's going to be a really frantic finish of the season. There is still a possibility we could end up with a magical treble incredible. How amazing would that be? Still, we take on Stoke City for the second of 3 games of today's episode here, back at Vicarage Road for the first time in a while. Taking on Stoke City as Mark Hughes' side come and take us on here, and the first chance of the game would fall to us in the 12th minute as Michael Keane collects the ball from Jack Butland's throw out and gives it to Boufal. Boufal finds Loftus-Cheek through towards Marco the Magician down the left-hand side, takes around the former Liverpool right-back Glenn Johnson and plays it inside to Troy Deeney. Deeney finds Bertrand Traore, and you saw him complaining a few moments ago, saying he's not getting on the pitch enough. Well, I put him on the pitch for this game, and just 13 minutes in, he does make it Watford 1, Stoke City 0. Traore's been in and out of the team all season long, really. You know, we've been changing the formation, we've been giving chances to younger players like Felivi, who's now, of course, out on loan at Blackburn Rovers. But Traore, you know, usually does do quite well when he gets an extended run in the first team. That's a really good finesse shot there, puts it past the goalkeeper Guilherme into the top corner. And even though it's only his 4th goal in the Premier League this season, he's still done quite well for us. You know, he had a pretty solid debut season, not too bad this year either, and he does make it Watford 1, Stoke City 0. And in the 19th minute here, we should have made it 2-0. Ruben Loftus-Cheek wins us the ball back and goes through one-on-one, but Guilherme makes a great save and turns behind for a corner. Guilherme is one of those goalkeepers I've used many times in FIFA before, and he's always been really, really good for me, particularly in FIFA 13. He was a monster in that game, but it was still Watford 1, Stoke 0 after a great save by the Brazilian goalkeeper. In the 23rd minute, Andy Carroll had a great chance to make it 1-1 and equalise for Stoke City. The delivery was a good one, but he fluffed his lines and put his header into the side netting and behind for a goal kick. But at half-time, as you could see the results right there, Chelsea were being held by Arsenal, but Spurs and Manchester City were winning. So with just a few games to go, the half-time results and the full-time results of the other teams are going to be really, really interesting to see how they're getting on. But all we can do is do the job on the pitch for our games. As you can see right here in the second half, not much was really happening, but the first chance fell to us in the 77th minute. Charlie Austin was played through by Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but he was denied by a great save by the goalkeeper, and it was still 1-0. And in the 90th minute, once again, Loftus-Cheek links up with Charlie Austin, who goes through one-on-one, but once again, it is Guilherme with a really, really good save as he turns the ball behind for a corner. But it was how the game would finish though. Final score, Watford 1, Stoke City 0. So we grind out a 1-0 result here at Vicarage Road. There were some good chances, and on another day we would have scored more goals, but Guilherme played really, really well for Stoke City. We had 5 shots on target, only 1 of which found the back of the net. Guilherme made a couple of really good saves in this game, 2 to deny Austin and 1 from Loftus-Cheek, who was my man in the match as well. Loftus-Cheek is just one of those players who, he just doesn't get enough credit. Like, seriously, it's really annoying, but you guys will never see just how good he does on the pitch in terms of the interceptions he makes and just the simple passes to start moves off. And following the game, we take a look at the league table. As you can see, with just 2 games to go, we are currently sitting in 2nd place. Realistically, we're probably the only side that can catch the league leader Spurs right now, but still, we are not guaranteed a place in the top 4. Manchester City and Manchester United in 4th and 5th respectively are only 4 points behind us. Chelsea are in 3rd place right now. It's just going to be a crazy end to the season, and as you can see right now, with the fixtures we have remaining, just 4 games in the season left. Take a look at the fixtures we've got. Manchester United away for the penultimate league game of the season, then the final day of the Premier League season is going to be Spurs at home, and sandwiched in between those Premier League fixtures, we have a Europa League final on Wednesday against Milan, and on the weekend, a game against Arsenal in the FA Cup final. So it's going to be really, really difficult for us to constantly rotate the side, keep everyone fit for all of these key games as we go in search of possibly a Premier League title, hopefully definitely a place in the top 4, and also an FA Cup final, hopefully which we'll win too, and also the Europa League final to come as well. So it's going to be an unbelievable end to the season. You don't want to miss any of the final 3 episodes after this one. It is going to be absolutely crazy. Still, we take on Manchester United for the penultimate game of the Premier League season here away at Old Trafford. What a big game this is going to be. A draw in this game will guarantee us a place in the top 4 and for next season's Champions League competition. And Manchester United really have to win this game. You know, a draw would not be good enough. They could still qualify and knock out their opponent City in order to get themselves into the top 4, but really they need a win in this game. So they started off really brightly nice. They had the first chance of the game. Then Marco Ryan Talla had our first chance of the game in the 21st minute. In the 29th minute, a great chance for United to take the lead once again. Schweinsteiger finds Juan Mata, and how close was that from a former Chelsea man? Almost finding the back of the net with the first time strike, but thankfully the Spanish midfielder shot goes over the bar and behind for a goal kick, and it was still 0-0. But on the stroke of half time, we were holding on to our goalless draw as things stood. Unfortunately for us, our resistance was broken. Mata went pretty close earlier on, but does score here to make it United 1, Watford 0. And this was one of those goals which I just couldn't do much about. Once Matip got dragged out of position here down the flanks, he couldn't catch up to Depay, who crosses the ball into the centre, and Mata in the centre beats Riedewald on the run, and with a first-time volley, rifles it past Jack Butland, and the number 8 gets his 6th goal of the season and makes it Manchester United 1, Watford 0. So we fall behind in this game. That's not what we want to see. At half-time, as you can see though, Chelsea were drawing, City were drawing as well, but Spurs were beating Palace. So as things stand, Spurs are going to be crowned champions at the end of 90 minutes. minutes. But most importantly, though, we weren't doing the job on the pitch. And in the second half, as you can see, 8 minutes after the restart, Gareth Bale gets on the ball for United. How about that? And finds Bastian Schweinsteiger. The former Bayern Munich man goes for goal, puts the shot wide, the post and behind for a goal kick. So it's still 1-0. But this was a game which I didn't really turn up in. I was all over the place, to be honest. United were looking far more dominant. We did have to make quite a few changes as well, due to the current fixtures we have coming up as well, which are going to be really important, such as the Europa League final and the FA Cup final as well. Had to rest some players for this game, but I just did not get the job done. Depay wins a penalty here for United in the second half as well. No complaints about this one. Neom trips him up and pushes him in the back as well. Definite penalty, correct decision, and United have a chance to make it 2-0 from the spot. It's going to be Aubameyang who will stand up and take it. If he scores it, it's surely game over. Good night, Watford, and a big win for United. But despite Butland diving to his left-hand side and Aubameyang going down the middle, he hits the top of the bar, and eventually we get the ball away. So still United 1, Watford 0 in the 78th minute. How about this? One of our rare chances of the game. Capu finds Juan Fran. The Spanish right-sided player goes through one-on-one, and he floods his lines, puts the shot wide of the post. I don't know why I shot so early there. A little bit of nerves, I think. The excitement got too much for me, and I put the shot wide of the post and behind for a goal kick. So still United 1, Watford 0. And in the 83rd minute, United won themselves their second penalty of the game. Now, the first penalty, definite penalty, no complaints about whatsoever. But for this one, Leyoun does leave his leg in, but Depay jumps over him. I mean, is that a penalty? I don't think there was any contact there whatsoever. There didn't seem like any regardless. But Depay does win his second penalty for United. Once again, Aubameyang is going to stand up and take it. The former Dortmund and St Etienne man has a great chance to make it United 2, Watford 0. He missed the first one. I was wondering where he was going to go for this one. Was he going to go down the middle again? Nope, he goes to Butland's right-hand side. I do dive the right way, but once again, I've said it many times before, I just don't know how to save penalties on FIFA. Aubameyang hits it in off the inside of the post. There was nothing Butland could do about it anyway. It was an inch-perfect penalty to make up for the previous one, which was pretty poor, and he does make it Manchester United 2, Watford 0. So it took some guts to take a penalty after missing the first one, but he does convert this one, clips the inside of the post, and does make it Manchester United 2, Watford 0, and it's going to be a huge win for Louis van Gaal and his side. And they do hold on for the win as well, a 2-0 scoreline. Honestly though, despite there being 2 penalties in this game, I can't complain about the first one. The second one was a bit debatable, but either way, we would have lost the game regardless. I didn't play very well in this one at all. I was all at sea really. I fluffed my lines for the Juan Fran chance, which would have put us level at 1-1, and with just 1 game to go in the Premier League season, it is now guaranteed that we won't be finishing as winners for the Premier League. Spurs beat Palace on the penultimate game of the season. That does mean that they are guaranteed to be crowned champions. No matter what happens at Vicarage Road, we'll take them on at Vicarage Road for the final day, get a final game of the season. But it does mean if we beat Spurs on the final day of the Premier League season, we will at least guarantee a place in the top 4. So it's been a really frantic finish. Sadly, we are going to miss out on the Holy Grail and win the title, but we could still qualify for the Champions League with a win on the final day. That will guarantee it. But as you can see, with City and United both in 4th and 5th with 63 points each, there's still also a possibility of us having the worst goal difference as well, that we can miss out on a place in the top 4. It is going to be an unbelievable end to the season, and that episode isn't even the next one or the one after that. First we've got the Europa League final to come, and then the FA Cup final as well before that Premier League final day. So don't miss any of the final 3 episodes, guys. They're going to be absolutely fantastic, really exciting. Don't miss any of them. Hope you enjoyed this episode though. If you did, then please do leave a like, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode, which is the Europa League final against Milan very soon.